You are watching T to the M to the IDD.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? T to the M to the IDD. We are back with another video. Every time I do a video, I always try to think of a different way to do a video. I always try to do different things. And so here I know that we are based on portrait photography, but there's a lot of different ways you could do portrait photography. So the way that we are doing this one is I'm going to give you 3 different scenarios where I use 3 different cameras, okay? And the special thing about this is these 3 different cameras are all 3 film cameras. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at each scenario and I want you to let me know which photo you prefer the most. Okay, now before we get into the scenarios and I break those down, I also want to let you all know that right now we have a free giveaway on a travel size softbox, and it is about a 25.5 inch softbox. It is a quick setup softbox. So that is one of the ones that's kind of similar to a pear snap. You see it right here. Great form factor. I love it, and I'm actually using it right now to light this scene. So comes with the softbox, 2 layers of diffusion, and it also has a grid to control the light. Okay, now we got that out the way. The details for that in the description if you want to enter to get a free softbox. Now, the first scene is all about this film camera here. This is a Mamiya RB67. Okay, so what we have today, we got some natural light shots with this Mamiya RB67. So we're gonna get some dope film shots with this. Now, this actual scene was this past summer. I took this photo. I went to a photo walk or photo meetup hosted by Snoot. Thank you for inviting me out to that. And it was in North Carolina at the sand dunes. I had one of my good old faithful models, Shy with me. And so I decided to get some shots on the Mamiya. Now, most of the time I use my digital camera to get my settings, but I also have a light meter. And so with this one, this camera does not have an internal light meter. So I used a light meter to actually meter the light to get the proper exposure. So with this particular camera, I actually had the good old Portra 400, okay? In film, Portra 400, you cannot go wrong. And I'm actually using natural light. Now I like using natural light in film because it really does test you in terms of getting your exposure, being able to get composition, and just get amazing shots. Also, you know, you don't know what you have until you actually take it and get everything processed. So here I kind of did a few different poses. I think I took a few different shots. I'm going to show you some of the shots that we captured here on this day and using direct sunlight. So here we have these shots right here. One of the things that kind of makes me stay away from doing a lot more film photography is that it is expensive. Some of these shots are rather old, but they're old because it does cost money to actually develop them, and then you have to get them scanned in, and then if you got black and white versus you have color film, so it's a whole thing. Now my brother does have a lab where sometimes we do develop them ourselves, and then he has a scanner so I can scan them in as well. But it takes time, so it is definitely expensive. So kudos to everyone who is pushing those film stocks. Okay, now this second one is actually with the Pentax 645. And so if you don't know, one thing you probably don't know about me is, yes, I have all of these digital cameras, but T-Mid actually keeps a film camera with him pretty much everywhere I go. I have a film camera. So we just had the Mamiya, and then right here we have the Pentax 645. And so I took this Pentax 645 with me to Las Vegas and WPPI 2023. Sidebar, WPPI 2024 T-Mid is having a photo walk. Let me know in the comments below. Check out the link details, okay? So we have the Pentax 645, and again, we are using natural light, okay? And this is actually at around 12:1-ish, so you are getting kind of some harsh lighting. So we got the Pentax 645, and I have a 90mm lens on the Pentax 645, and I am using good old Portra 400. Okay, I'm telling you, Portra 400, you can't go wrong. And my brother always has some of that. So, you know, when all else fails, give me some Portra 400 and I'll make it work. Okay. And so I was actually joining along with this photo shoot, but I wanted to get some shots. I knew that as far as my composition, a lot of the times what I try to do when you are in direct sunlight like that, I don't try to shoot into an area that has a lot of sky, because what happens is you want to expose for your subject, and most of the time when you expose for your subject, then the sky gets blown out. So I'm one of the people that loves detail in the sky. I don't really like that blown out sky look, so if I can avoid it, I definitely will avoid it. Now, speaking of that, the Pentax 645 does have an internal light meter. So if I was going to recommend something, I would recommend something with an internal light meter like the Pentax 645. And that is helpful because once you know the camera a little bit, you can do certain things. So inside the camera, the characteristics of using the camera, kind of notice that most of the time you should overexpose by one stop, and that'll give you like a nice decent exposure. So most of the time when I'm shooting it at one stop over just to get the image. And so when speaking about shooting into the sky in this particular scene, instead of shooting into the sky, I had the model and then I shot her into a background so that the model was in the same lighting as pretty much the background. She was a little backlit from the sun coming in from her right side, but it did not mess up the exposure at all. And so here is that shot. Okay, now we are going to the final camera that we used, and that is the Leica M6 film camera. Okay, now one thing that is tricky with this camera is that when you actually look through that viewfinder, you are not seeing a true representation of what you're capturing like the other cameras that we mentioned. So we were shooting at a 35mm, and so you kind of have to interpret where that 35 focal length is going to get you in terms of what you are actually capturing in real life. And so that could be tricky if you're not used to shooting at a 35, because you might not know necessarily what you're actually capturing in a frame. And so I love using the 35, so I was pretty much solid with that lens. Well, with that film camera, it worked out perfectly. And so this particular scene, it was interesting because I love catching candid moments. And so this was with the model Sade, and so we were actually doing some stuff inside of my home studio, and while we were doing it, we were focused on digital stuff, but I think I had about 3 shots left in the Leica M6, and I wanted to finish the roll. So I had the Leica M6, and then I had Kodak Gold 200. Okay, now that is a pretty safe film stock, as well as different characteristics and things like that, but I had to use the available light that was inside of the studio. And so sometimes that means taking my shutter speed down, and hoping that I don't move, because it's pretty hard. Film is not forgiving. Okay, if you try to open up that shutter and take that shot at those low shutters, 10 times out of 10 it's going to be blurry. Okay, 10 times out of 10. But here I just caught some candid shots. We went live, so I got her as we were going live. And then we have the infamous gold mirror that everybody loves. I don't know why everybody loves this gold mirror. So I captured her as we did the shoot, and she was kind of looking into the gold mirror. So thought it was a pretty cool shot, and took that shot with the Leica M6. I finished off the roll, and here is that shot. So now you have seen all of the shots that I have taken from these particular film cameras. Now I want you to look at each one, and I want you to let me know which image is your favorite from the ones that I have displayed from each one. All right, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have ever used film cameras, or if you plan to use it, because I think they still can be utilized. It has a certain character about them. You know, I know a lot of people like to use certain editing techniques to kind of get that film look, but it's just something about having a true film camera that is unmatched, right? So, free giveaway in the comments below. T to the M to the IDD. Until the next video, peace.
What is going on, guys? You just tuned in to T to the M to the IDD. And if you enjoy this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you really enjoy the content, check out some more of the videos that you see right here. Oh yeah, and hit that like button for me.